This presentation will cover the organization and use of Microsoft Excel for RRT databases. This is part of a video collection that includes some other aspects of Excel, technical aspects, including basic navigation of Excel, use of math functions, copying, pasting, and then some additional commands and operations that you'll find very useful for creating and organizing databases. We'll cover how to structure your database and then some crude analysis to show how you can use your database to analyze for frequency events, frequency of calling criteria, importing other data from other databases to link them together. For example, correspondence between RRT and code calls, RRT and mortality, or RRT and ICU admissions. So just for looking at kind of the basic elements that you'd want to look at, it's really kind of who, what, why, when, and where for your patients and where they're called. That's pretty obvious, and you want to be able to track reasons that people deteriorate in locations, and you want to eventually relate this to acuity of your patient population or turnover. Things that you can use to make this endeavor a whole lot more convenient for you and a whole lot more portable is not only to have unique identifiers for patients that are common for different databases, but also come up with a serial number for every patient. So when you have to, you can just get rid of unique identifiers and have data that's pretty secure and won't reveal any patient-specific information if it's stolen or if you're moving it around. I also find it very useful to have serial months and serial years because I'm interested in trends over time and trends throughout the year. I think it's also important to have medical and surgical designations because these populations have different age ranges and different expected and observed outcomes. And then I also modify my databases to round the time to the nearest 15 minutes. And I don't know if we'll really cover why that's useful, but when you think about time, it's a continuous variable. But if you could sort times of calls into these bins, you can then do histograms and frequency analyses that are a whole lot easier to do. And I also advocate trying to have detailed data on reasons, but also to have things kind of whittled down to pretty crude categories like 4 or 5 different syndromes like heart rate, blood pressure, neurologic status, breathing, and other. And that way you can go from the general to the specific just to see how different types of problems shift over time. I also keep track of transfers, whether patients go to higher levels of care. That's a pretty easy designation to make at the time of a med call and something that you can easily record as part of any kind of paper or electronic charting at the time, because when the call ends, you kind of know what the disposition is. And then a lot of people that use warning scores might want to import those into their databases as well. So this pertains to how to set up a MET or an RRT database, and you might want to just use the similar principles in figuring out how to set up ICU databases, code databases, and mortality databases if those are data that's within your purview and that you can organize, because the more that you kind of co-organize the databases, the better they can cooperate with one another. And so finally, the next phase here we'll get into is just some practical examples of how to set up a database and then how to use these for basic analyses. And things that we'll cover are pivot tables, how to import data from other databases or how to link them, filtering and sorting, and then the value of dichotomous variables.